Welcome everyone. Today we are hosting Clayton from Babylon team onto this podcast. Babylon has emerged quite a hero in past couple of years. They've raised more than $95 million plus. Uh, they have amazing narrative of the Bitcoin staking, restaking sort of concepts, and we are seeing amazing ecosystem growth. So today we are going to deep dive, and Clayton will walk us through. Welcome to this podcast.
Thanks. Happy to be here.
Amazing. Clayton, let's start with the first part of it. In terms of the broader vision of Babylon, like you guys are aiming to create a unified blockchain through Bitcoin staking. Can you share a bit of the founding story and how was the focus in the initial days and what led to the current narrative switch?
Yeah, so I mean, we've been focused on this concept of Bitcoin staking for over the past year at this point. So it's really been the main focus of the project for quite a bit. But generally, what we're trying to build is a staking. What we have built is a staking functionality that exists natively on the Bitcoin network. So we are non-custodial in nature. There's no bridging or pegging when staking Bitcoin via Babylon, and it doesn't leave your wallet. And so what we can do with that feature set that we built on the Bitcoin network is offer those stake positions as security to other protocols that want to consume Bitcoin security. The third thing that we've built that people are leveraging the Babylon protocol for is liquidity as well. So people are effectively locking up this Bitcoin through our staking protocol and then issuing representations of those stake positions on other protocols, right? So really, like, we're kind of building more native use cases on Bitcoin through our staking functionality, but also offering security and liquidity benefits to protocols that want to have a deeper connection with Bitcoin in general.
Amazing. Clayton, coming on the innovation side of this Bitcoin staking, right? What you rightly mentioned is the different native use cases for Bitcoin beyond store of value and payments. What other is there any third bigger approach which is coming in, and are you seeing some uniqueness coming to these sort of use cases?
Yeah, so I mean, I think to your point, right? We were looking at Bitcoin, and there are only two native use cases for Bitcoin on the Bitcoin network, right? It's like store of value, which obviously Bitcoin is king at. It's send and receive, and we like to think of what we built as the third native use case, right? Which is the staking functionality, and the benefit of going to market with staking is it's a fairly familiar concept for other assets and other ecosystems, right? So most protocols are proof of stake now. There's hundreds of billions of dollars of assets that are being staked by institutions and retail and other service providers, and so we took that and applied it to Bitcoin, and so really, like, what you can do with that once it's created, right, is create like more value for Bitcoin as an asset in general, right? I mean, if you're looking at a lot of increase in DEX volume versus SEX volume, Bitcoin isn't really a part of that story, but it's honestly because there isn't a way to execute those trades on the Bitcoin network, and so I like to think what Babylon is doing is like exporting the value of Bitcoin to other layers that can actually execute those transactions, which provides more use cases for Bitcoin on decentralized networks beyond send and receive, store of value, and even staking.
Got it. Coming to the security aspect of it, Clayton, right? I mean, like Babylon emphasizes a trustless, self-custodial, kind of staking.
Mm-hmm.
Can you give us a walkthrough a bit about, like a BTC staking script, that ensures, the security layer where users are like, 100% confined that, okay, this is the most secure thing that, we can stake the assets on?
Yeah, so we leverage Taproot and UTXO functionality on the Bitcoin network. So you are effectively locking the asset up, but it doesn't leave your wallet, right? So it would be similar to staking an asset on Solana or like a Cosmos blockchain, for example, to where you are like pointing that asset to a validator and accepting the risk and reward of that infrastructure provider, right? Like there is slashing on the Babylon protocol if a finality provider performs a malicious action, but they're not in custody of this Bitcoin when you are staking to that finality provider. So the experience is as similar as you can get while having all of this happen natively on the Bitcoin network. But yeah, if you have Bitcoin in a wallet right now, you would easily be able to stake an asset on Babylon today.
Amazing. Clayton, a lot of young founders also would like to get some emphasis on, how the fundraising journey of Babylon has been. Uh, I know David has been an influential, figure in all the technical aspects of it. But post the first round, which typically gives that sort of edge, how was the bigger fundraising planned? And, a part of a question to it is, what would be your advice, for these early stage startup founders as well, so that they could also, think of something larger when it comes to, Series A or B sort of fundraisings.
Yeah, so I joined Babylon in September of last year, so I wasn't really involved in any of those conversations. But I mean, advice for founders in general, right, is target a problem that's actually a problem, right, and then present it in a way where you are deemed most capable of winning that market, right? Um, you know, Generally, you're not the only person that thought of this as an idea when trying to pitch something to an investor base, but confidence is key, and actually like building towards something that has an addressable market in TAM, et cetera.
Amazing. Clayton, let's also speak about the ecosystem growth, which you guys had since last few quarters. I mean, tons of exciting updates, PR pushes, and a lot of underlying work has been done on this. Uh, would you highlight some of the key moments in these few things regarding the ecosystem growth?
Yeah, I mean, it's been a great year for us in terms of ecosystem growth. I think the staking protocol that we built accounts for about 80% of all TVL that sits natively on the Bitcoin network today, which is great. And we recently launched the Babylon Genesis protocol, which is the first what we're calling Bitcoin secured networks or BSNs in April. And so that is our own layer one blockchain that is actively consuming Bitcoin security today. There are Bitcoin focused DeFi applications on that blockchain. We plan to scale out that ecosystem over the next year, with the goal of integrating more BSNs, so third-party BSNs that want to consume Bitcoin security as well over the next couple quarters. So yeah, I mean, the growth has been super exciting. Our staking functionality is now feature complete and permissionless, so anyone can actively stake Bitcoin today. The goal is getting more of that Bitcoin represented within the broader Babylon ecosystem through our partners.
Amazing. Since you mentioned, the DeFi, part of it on the Bitcoin, there have been like tremendous challenges, particularly because, integrating Bitcoin with, diverse POS systems is really, really complex, right? So how was, some of the DeFi protocols that are building or integrating with Babylon, what kind of support do you guys actually give? And, how's that, reshaped over a period of time?
Yeah, I mean, I think the reason why Bitcoin is kind of lagged here, right, is there hasn't been an easy way to move trust minimized Bitcoin liquidity onto other execution layer environments, right? Like nothing against WBTC or CBBTC, right? But you are effectively trusting Coinbase or BitGlobal when using those assets. So it doesn't remove counterparty risk from the issue, which like a lot of crypto is around removing counterparty risk. So I think once we get to a point on the tech side to where a lot of this Bitcoin can be issued in a trust minimized way, you'll start to see much more adoption of Bitcoin DeFi in general. And I like to think that we're a large part of that solution, and we're building towards making this sort of liquidity layer of Bitcoin even more trust minimized through BitVM technology and the bridge that we're planning to build between Bitcoin and the Babylon Genesis protocol. But yeah, I mean, once you get there, looking at DeFi developers that we've been engaging with, right? Like they're very excited about the opportunity, because if there is like some sort of like waterfall moment for getting a lot of this Bitcoin on chain, the addressable market is 10 times higher than any other asset that exists in the space today. So I mean, it's a huge opportunity if it actually ends up happening.
Got it. Clayton, one other question in terms of the ecosystem sort of thing is, I think when Babylon went live, we saw in a phased manner where people were able to stake BTC, and it was always on the whitelist, it was always full, people were excited to get along it. Few quarters down the line, I think we've seen close to $5 billion or worth of Bitcoin being staked. Now, at fundamentally, since there is a lot of achievement, that is being done, how are you guys planning to have 2025 in terms of, do you have any internal goals to, have X amount of Bitcoins or, more of those numbers? What's the internal plan, and how are you planning to, have this adoption, done much more frugal?
Yeah, so I mean, the staking protocol is permissionless, right? So ultimately, the market will decide, how much the market wants to stake. But as long as the incentives are there, right? Like I think it's safe to assume that more and more people will be staking these assets in the future. Obviously, we want this staking functionality integrated in as many places as possible, right? We do think that our staking option is the most secure. And so we actively do engage with partners to make sure that, anyone with Bitcoin can stake wherever their Bitcoin is at any point in time. But really, like our core focus now that, the staking functionality is feature complete, and we do have, chains that we're going to be integrating with on the security side. A lot of like our shift is going to focus on the demand side of the marketplace, right? So like, how are we like making this an attractive offer to people that want to consume Bitcoin security, and how are we injecting more liquidity into these ecosystems? You're muted.
Sorry. Yeah. One other follow-up question, Clayton, is a lot of young developers and a lot of community is very excited to build on top of Babylon. We've seen some fantastic DeFi sort of products built on it. Could you give a highlight of a couple of interesting ecosystem projects that are building? And a follow-up question is, apart from DeFi, what are the other top 2 or 3 interesting use cases that you see will really splurge in this year?
Yeah, so we've made a couple large announcements on the BSN side. One of them was Sui and one of them with Osmosis. So both of them plan to integrate as a BSN. We'll make some more announcements public over the next quarter there. We do have live DeFi applications on the Babylon Genesis protocol as well. So Tower is a native DEX that's planning that is live on Babylon. And SatLayer, which is a restaking protocol that's like leveraging these stake positions for restaking as well. But yeah, I mean, I think really like our main focus, or at least like what we're seeing as being the most interesting in terms of our product offering, is people who want more Bitcoin DeFi to exist within their ecosystem. So, Obviously, added security benefits can, be beneficial for a lot of different use cases for crypto. But really what people are looking for is like, if I want more Bitcoin activity within my ecosystem, I want to make sure that activity is Bitcoin secured as a way to, make the value proposition of settling these, transactions, with Bitcoin much more attractive for people.
Got it. Clayton, also, are there any developer-focused initiatives or sort of incubators, accelerators, which Babylon is focusing internally to have more people and more founders, builders, build on top of this? And how do these, what's the best way to approach these sort of programs or initiatives?
Yeah, so we have a DevRel team. We have a BD team. We're actively engaged with a long list of application developers as well as BSN candidates. And we don't have anything like super formalized, but we're always happy to engage with folks, and feel free to reach out to me if you see this podcast. Happy to chat with anyone.
Amazing. Clayton, coming to the last part, I think, in terms of the innovation, that's happening in the Bitcoin space. I think you talked about how the Babylon's journey has come, the security, different, sort of initiatives that you guys are taking. Say if a young founder or builder is looking to build in this Bitcoin space, what would be your, couple of recommendations, given the market scenarios, for them to, go out and explore, these couple of crazy ideas?
I mean, I think it starts with defining something that the market wants or needs, right? I mean, and then once you figure that out or have a general idea, that's when you can start, speaking to, friends about what you're planning to do, and then the details can be iterated upon. But I mean, it's fine to go in blind, but that wouldn't be my recommendation. You may get someone telling you to do something that's not super beneficial to anyone.
Got it. In terms of next few quarters, I think we've already passed half of this year. How is Babylon looking in 2025 in terms of tech ecosystem or other dev initiatives? Where do you think are the focus areas is or the priority is going to be for Babylon, and how are you guys going ahead with it?
Yeah, so three main things. One, additional BSNs being supported outside of the Babylon Genesis protocol. Right now, the Genesis protocol is the only BSN, but in the future, OP rollups as well as Arbitrum rollups as well as Cosmos chains and an additional tech stack that we'll announce later, we'll be able to integrate as a BSN in the future and start consuming Bitcoin security. The second focus is increasing performance and adding additional features to the Babylon Genesis chain. So we will be building a EVM instance on that chain to make it more attractive for general DeFi developers who primarily are on Ethereum for the most part. And then the third is adding additional security value to our staking functionality by building a bridge between Bitcoin and the Babylon Genesis protocol, which will lead to the ability for people to trustlessly mint LSTs, which we think is a huge step change. And there's really nothing comparable to that in the market today. But those are the three main things.
Got it. Clayton, one last question on the community part of it. I think the community has been at the forefront while supporting Babylon, since the inception. Bold idea of Bitcoin, staking, restaking, and then we saw the public launch. A lot of amazing support over there, and a lot of in general users who want to have certain pie of share in their contribution towards Bitcoin. Are there any community focused conferences that you guys are hosting this year, or any other events that community should keep in mind?
I mean, we do attend a lot of conferences, so I'll be at Consensus this week, and we'll be at BTC Vegas, and ECC. I think later this year during Token 2049 Singapore, we may do like a larger event, but we haven't really figured that out yet.
Got it. Amazing, Clayton. I think it was lovely chatting with you and deep diving into the Babylon ecosystem, and hopefully we do a much more deep dive, probably into a lot of various smaller subsections of Babylon, and hopefully we see this rocking year for you guys.
Cool. Thanks for having me.